Hello, everybody. I hope you all are having a good day. Today, I am going to discuss three major factors which play a significant role in someone's life to build or destroy. Those factors are mind, mouth, and money. Discipline over thoughts begins with awareness. We often believe that our thoughts are just fleeting and consequential things, but they shape everything we do. Every decision, every action, and every relationship we nurture starts with a thought. And if we don't have control over our thoughts, how can we expect to have control over our actions? It's not about suppressing your thoughts or ignoring them. It's about recognizing them, understanding them, and then deciding how you want them to influence your behavior. Imagine you're driving a car. Your thoughts are like the navigation system. If you let it wander aimlessly, you might end up in a place you never intended to be. But if you program it with clear intentions, with discipline, you steer your life toward a meaningful destination. Most people don't realize how often they let their minds control them instead of the other way around. They let fear dictate their choices, let doubt paralyze them, or let anger drive their actions. Discipline over thoughts means acknowledging those emotions but not letting them take the wheel. It means choosing to focus on what serves you and what aligns with your values instead of giving energy to distractions. When I think about this idea, I often remember the countless stories of leaders, creators, and innovators who had every reason to give in to negative thoughts but chose not to. They practiced discipline. It's not that they didn't experience fear or doubt, it's that they refused to let those thoughts define them. And that choice, it's not something that happens by accident. It's deliberate. Let's break it down. Every time you face a challenge, your mind will naturally gravitate toward the path of least resistance. This is too hard. What if I fail? Maybe I'm not good enough. Those thoughts are loud, aren't they? They demand attention. But here's the thing, discipline isn't about silencing them. It's about training yourself to hear those thoughts, acknowledge them, and then shift your focus. It's not easy. Let's not pretend it is. Discipline over thoughts requires consistency. It requires practice. Think about physical fitness. If you want a strong body, you don't work out once and expect results. The same applies to your mind. You have to train it day after day to focus on what's constructive. One of the best ways to start is by questioning your thoughts. When a negative or limiting thought arises, ask yourself, is this true? Is this thought helping me? What can I choose to focus on instead? That simple act of questioning creates space. And in that space, you regain control. Another powerful tool is gratitude. It sounds almost cliche, but gratitude reframes your perspective. When you discipline yourself to focus on what you're grateful for, you shift your thoughts from scarcity to abundance, from fear to possibility. Gratitude isn't about ignoring reality, it's about training your mind to see the good, even in challenging times. There's something else I want to touch on. Discipline over thoughts isn't about perfection. It's not about never having a negative thought again. That's unrealistic. It's about catching yourself when those thoughts arise and redirecting them. It's about progress, not perfection. Let me share an example. A leader I worked with once told me about a critical decision he had to make. The stakes were high, and the pressure was immense. His initial thoughts were all over the place. What if this goes wrong? What will people think? Will I lose everything? He realized that if he let those thoughts dictate his actions, he would never make the decision at all. So he disciplined himself to focus on what he could control. He asked himself, what's the next best step I can take right now? And that question grounded him. That's what discipline over thoughts looks like. It's not some grand gesture. It's the small, intentional choices you make in the moment. It's about being proactive rather than reactive. You see, our thoughts create our reality. If you believe you're capable, you'll act capable. If you believe you're not good enough, you'll act accordingly. Your thoughts influence your energy, your relationships, your opportunities. So if you want to change your life, you have to start with your mind. And let's be honest, there will be days when it's harder than others, days when the negativity feels overwhelming. On those days, remind yourself of your purpose. Why are you doing what you're doing? What do you stand for? Purpose is a powerful anchor. When you connect your thoughts to your purpose, you find strength you didn't know you had. There's another aspect to this. Discipline over thoughts isn't just about you. It's about how you show up for others. When you have control over your thoughts, you're able to be more present, more empathetic, and more effective in your relationships. Think about the people who inspire you. Chances are they have a level of mental discipline that allows them to stay calm under pressure and to focus on what matters. And here's the truth, discipline over thoughts is a skill anyone can develop. It doesn't matter where you're starting from. What matters is your commitment to the process. So how do you start? Begin by observing your thoughts. Don't judge them, just notice them. Over time, you'll start to see patterns. Maybe you tend to focus on worst-case scenarios or compare yourself to others. Once you're aware of those patterns, you can start to challenge them. Next, create rituals that support your mental discipline. Maybe it's a morning practice where you set intentions for the day. Maybe it's journaling to process your thoughts. Maybe it's meditation to create stillness. Find what works for you and stick with it. And finally, surround yourself with people who lift you up. People who challenge you to think bigger, to stay disciplined, and to grow. Your environment matters. If you're constantly surrounded by negativity, it's harder to maintain discipline over your thoughts. The bottom line is this: your mind is one of the most powerful tools you have. But like any tool, it requires care, attention, and discipline. When you master your thoughts, you master your life. It's not about controlling everything that happens to you. It's about choosing how you respond. So choose wisely. Choose discipline. Choose growth. Choose purpose. Because when you do, the possibilities are endless. You ever notice how we often regret what we say in the heat of the moment? There's this instinct we all have to respond quickly, to react before really thinking things through. Maybe it's human nature, maybe it's impatience. But here's the thing: words are permanent. Once they leave your mouth, they can't be taken back. The apology can come later, sure, but the impact, the impression, that sticks. When we don't think before we speak, we create chaos. Miscommunication, misunderstandings, hurt feelings, all of it stems from words spoken carelessly. And the irony is, we almost always know better. In hindsight, we think, I shouldn't have said that, but why didn't we realize it in the moment? It's because we've never been trained to pause, to reflect, to let silence do its work before opening our mouths. Silence is powerful. Silence is uncomfortable, yes, but it's powerful. And the discomfort is exactly why it works. Think about the last time you had a conversation where someone really took their time to respond. They didn't just blurt out the first thing that came to mind. They paused, they thought it over, and then they spoke. How did that make you feel? Most likely it gave you the impression that they cared about their response, about you, about the situation. That's the kind of impression we should all strive to leave. Now, I'm not saying you need to sit there silently for 5 minutes every time someone asks you a question, but even a moment's pause can change everything. It gives you the chance to filter your thoughts, to ask yourself, is what I'm about to say helpful? Is it necessary? Is it true? If it's none of those things, then maybe it's better left unsaid. We live in a world that rewards speed, instant messages, instant coffee, instant everything. We've been conditioned to think that faster is better, but in communication, speed is rarely an asset. Think about the relationships you value most. They're not built on quick words or rushed conversations. They're built on thoughtful exchanges, on people taking the time to listen and respond with intention. When you speak without thinking, you run the risk of betraying your values. You might say something out of anger, out of frustration, or simply out of habit. But those words don't represent the person you want to be. They don't align with your principles, with your purpose. And that's a problem, because over time, those careless words shape how people see you. And worse, they shape how you see yourself. Let me share a story. I once worked with someone who had a habit of interrupting. It didn't matter if you were in the middle of a thought or just starting a sentence, this person would jump in with their own ideas, their own opinions. And they didn't realize how it made people feel. They thought they were being helpful, that they were showing enthusiasm, but in reality, they were shutting people down. They weren't thinking about how their words affected the room. They were only thinking about themselves. One day, I pulled this person aside. I said, do you notice how people stop contributing when you start talking? Do you realize that your interruptions make them feel unimportant? It was a hard conversation, but it was necessary. And to their credit, they listened. They started practicing restraint. They began pausing before speaking, making space for others to share. And over time, the dynamic in the room shifted. People started engaging more. They felt heard. All because one person learned to think before they spoke. Here's the truth: every time you speak, you have an opportunity to build trust, to strengthen relationships, to inspire, to encourage. But you also have the opportunity to do the opposite, to break trust, to weaken relationships, to discourage, to tear down. The choice is yours. And that choice starts with a simple habit: pausing to think. Money is a resource. It's not the end goal, but a means to live, grow, and contribute. Yet so many people live in a constant state of stress about it, chasing more without clarity on why or how they're using it. It's not about how much you have, but how you manage what you have. Being mindful with your finances starts with purpose. If you don't know what you're working toward, it's easy to get distracted by temptations and trends. Ask yourself, what does financial success look like to you? Not society's definition, not your neighbors, but yours. The problem with how most of us handle money is rooted in our mindset. We often let fear or desire dictate our financial choices. Fear of missing out, fear of judgment, fear of failure. Or we act out of desire chasing status, convenience, or short-term pleasure. But fear and desire are terrible financial advisors. Instead, what we need is clarity and discipline. Mindful financial choices are about aligning your spending and saving habits with your values. It's about making money work for you, not the other way around. Let's talk about spending. Every dollar you spend is a vote for the life you want to create. If you spend without thinking, you're essentially letting someone else dictate your priorities. Advertisements, influencers, peer pressure, they all work to steer your money toward what they think you should value. But when you're mindful, you take back control. Before making a purchase, ask yourself, does this align with my values? Does it bring me closer to the life I'm trying to build? If the answer is no, pause. You're not depriving yourself, you're investing in your future. Saving is another area where mindfulness matters. Saving isn't just about putting money aside for a rainy day, it's about creating options, it's about freedom. When you have savings, you have choices. You can take risks, seize opportunities, and navigate life's uncertainties without panic. But saving requires discipline, and discipline requires a mindset shift. Start by paying yourself first. Treat savings like a non-negotiable expense, just like rent or utilities. Automate it if you can. The less you rely on willpower, the more consistent you'll be. Now let's address debt. Debt can be a tool or a trap, depending on how you use it. Mindful financial choices mean understanding the difference. Good debt, like a mortgage or a business loan, can help you build assets or create income. Bad debt, like credit cards or high-interest loans, drains your resources and limits your options. If you're in debt, don't ignore it. Face it head-on. Create a plan, prioritize high-interest debts, and make paying them off a cornerstone of your financial strategy. Remember, avoiding debt isn't about fear, it's about freedom. Income is another piece of the puzzle. Too often we tie our worth to how much we earn. But income is just one part of the equation. What matters more is how you manage it. Some people make six figures and live paycheck to paycheck. Others make modest incomes and build wealth over time. The difference is mindfulness. It's about being intentional with every dollar, focusing on what matters, and avoiding lifestyle inflation. As your income grows, your expenses don't have to follow. Instead, let your savings and investments grow. Investing is where mindful financial choices can truly pay off literally. But investing isn't just about stocks, bonds, or real estate. It's about investing in yourself. Your skills, knowledge, and health are some of the best investments you can make. These are the things that generate value over time, not just for you, but for those around you. And when you do invest in financial markets, do it with a plan. Understand your goals, your risk tolerance, and your timeline. Don't chase trends or try to time the market. Focus on long-term growth and let compounding work its magic. Generosity is another key aspect of mindful financial choices. Money has the power to create change, not just in your life, but in the lives of others. When you give, you remind yourself that money isn't the goal, it's a tool. Generosity isn't about how much you give, but about the intention behind it. Give with purpose, whether it's supporting a cause, helping a friend, or contributing to your community. Generosity creates connection and meaning, which are far more valuable than any material possession. Finally, mindfulness with money means recognizing that wealth is more than numbers in a bank account. True wealth includes your health, relationships, and sense of purpose. Financial security is important, but it's not the only measure of success. Don't sacrifice what truly matters in the pursuit of more. Balance is key. Be intentional with your time and energy, just as you are with your finances. After all, money is a means to an end, not the end itself. When you make mindful financial choices, you create a life of freedom and purpose. You move from a place of stress and scarcity to one of confidence and abundance. It's not about perfection, it's about progress. Each step you take brings you closer to the life you want to lead. So take that first step. Reflect on your values, set your priorities, and start aligning your financial habits with your goals. Because when you control your money, you control your future. Emotional resilience is the ability to adapt and thrive in the face of adversity, challenge, or change. It's not just about bouncing back, it's about bouncing forward. Resilience doesn't mean we don't feel pain, disappointment, or fear. It means we have the capacity to process these emotions, learn from them, and move forward with a stronger sense of purpose. It's a skill. And like any skill, it can be cultivated through intentional effort. Imagine for a moment the most challenging situation you've ever faced. What was it that helped you through it? Was it a person who stood by you? Was it a belief in your ability to overcome? Or was it the realization that even when things were at their worst, you had the strength to endure? Emotional resilience is built on these moments, on recognizing that we are capable of enduring far more than we might initially believe. One of the critical components of resilience is perspective. When faced with hardship, how we choose to frame the situation matters. Do we see it as the end of the road, or do we see it as an opportunity to grow? I'm not suggesting that pain or struggle is inherently good, but I am suggesting that our perspective can shape how we experience and move through it. People who build resilience often view challenges as temporary, specific, and external. They don't internalize failure or allow it to define them. Instead, they see it as a chance to learn something new about themselves or the world around them. Another cornerstone of resilience is connection. Human beings are inherently social creatures, and our ability to weather storms is deeply tied to our relationships. The presence of a supportive community, friends, family, colleagues can make all the difference. It's not about having all the answers or solving problems alone. It's about knowing there are people who will walk alongside us, even in our darkest moments. When we feel seen and supported, we're more likely to find the strength to persevere. Self-awareness also plays a crucial role. Resilient people understand their emotions. They don't suppress or ignore them. Instead, they acknowledge and process them. They recognize when they're feeling overwhelmed and take steps to address it, whether through mindfulness, journaling, or simply talking things out with someone they trust. By being honest about their feelings, they gain clarity and regain control. Another vital element is purpose. When we have a clear sense of why we're doing what we're doing, it becomes easier to endure setbacks. Purpose gives us a reason to keep going when the going gets tough. It's the fuel that drives resilience. Think of anyone who's achieved something remarkable despite significant obstacles. Chances are they were guided by a compelling sense of purpose, something bigger than themselves that kept them anchored. Now, let's talk about adaptability. Life is unpredictable, and resilience requires a willingness to adapt. It's about embracing change rather than resisting it. The truth is, we're never in complete control of our circumstances, but we are in control of how we respond to them. Resilient individuals are flexible in their thinking and behavior. They're willing to pivot when necessary and explore new solutions rather than clinging to old ways of doing things. But let's not romanticize resilience. It's not about being tough or invulnerable. In fact, vulnerability is a key part of emotional resilience. When we allow ourselves to feel and express our emotions honestly, we create space for healing and growth. It's not weakness to ask for help or admit when we're struggling. On the contrary, it's a sign of strength. Resilience isn't about avoiding struggle, it's about facing it head-on with courage and authenticity. There's also an element of self-compassion in resilience. Too often, we're our own harshest critics. But resilience requires us to be kind to ourselves, especially when we fall short of our expectations. It's about recognizing that we're human, that mistakes are part of the journey, and that growth comes from those moments when we feel most challenged. Self-compassion helps us recover faster and move forward with a sense of hope and possibility. Let's not forget the role of optimism. Resilience doesn't mean blind positivity or ignoring reality. It means maintaining a belief that things can and will get better. It's about holding on to hope, even when the evidence suggests otherwise. Optimism fuels action. It's what keeps us trying, even when we've been knocked down repeatedly. It's the belief that the next attempt might be the one that makes all the difference. Building resilience also involves taking care of ourselves physically. Our emotional state is closely tied to our physical well-being. Sleep, nutrition, and exercise are foundational. When we neglect these areas, it becomes harder to manage stress and regulate our emotions. Resilience isn't just a mental or emotional state, it's a holistic one. Taking care of our bodies supports our ability to navigate challenges with clarity and energy. Resilience is not something we build in isolation. It's cultivated through our experiences, our relationships, and our choices. Every setback is an opportunity to grow stronger, more capable, and more empathetic. It's not about avoiding hardship, it's about transforming it into something meaningful. And that's a process we can all embrace no matter where we are in life. When we communicate, it's easy to fall into patterns of just speaking for the sake of speaking. But when we truly understand the power of our words, the responsibility that comes with them becomes clear. Every time we speak, we are either building something up or tearing something down. It's that simple. I think about the last conversation you had. Did you leave the other person feeling inspired, understood, or valued? Or did they walk away feeling dismissed or unheard? Speaking with purpose isn't about saying the right thing every time. It's about being intentional. It's about understanding why you're speaking in the first place. Imagine being in a room where everyone is talking at once. Noise, chaos, and distraction are everywhere. That's what the world can feel like when people speak without intention. Now imagine one person in that room speaks up not the loudest, but with clarity, conviction, and purpose. Suddenly, everyone stops to listen. That's the difference between contributing to the noise and adding value. Purposeful communication begins with clarity. Why am I speaking? What is the outcome I hope to achieve? Whether you're leading a team, giving feedback, or just having a casual conversation, this clarity sets the foundation for everything that follows. Without it, we risk speaking out of habit, emotion, or ego, none of which lead to meaningful outcomes. It's important to recognize that speaking with purpose isn't about control or manipulation. It's not about crafting a perfect message to get what you want. It's about creating an environment where trust, understanding, and connection can thrive. People don't just listen to what you say, they feel your intention behind it. And that intention matters. Consider the difference between a leader who tells their team, "Do this because I said so," and one who says, "Here's why this matters." The first demands obedience, the second invites engagement. Purposeful communication shifts the dynamic from compliance to commitment because it respects the audience enough to offer context and meaning. When people understand the why, they don't just hear you, they believe you. The power of speaking with purpose extends far beyond the words themselves. It's about how you make people feel. It's about the space you create for others to share, to contribute, and to feel seen. That's where trust is built. And trust is the cornerstone of all meaningful relationships, whether personal or professional. In every interaction, we have the opportunity to be deliberate. We can choose words that align with our values, reflect our intentions, and build trust. But it requires self-awareness. It's not enough to focus on what we say. We have to understand how and why we're saying it. That's where true influence lies, not in volume, but in authenticity. We often find ourselves out of sync, not because we lack the knowledge or the tools, but because we fail to align the most fundamental parts of our being. Thoughts, words, and wisdom, these are not just concepts, they are the forces that shape everything we do. When one is out of alignment, the result is friction, and friction leads to breakdowns in trust, connection, and progress. Think about it, every action we take originates in the mind. Thoughts are where everything begins. They are the seeds we plant, but not every seed is meant to grow. What we allow to linger in our minds, those ideas, beliefs, and doubts sets the tone for how we engage with the world. If we let our thoughts be dominated by fear, negativity, or comparison, our actions will mirror that. But when we focus on clarity, purpose, and service, our thoughts become the foundation of something much greater. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Thoughts alone are not enough. Thoughts need to transform into words to create movement. Words are what bring our ideas to life. But here's the challenge, not everyone speaks with intention. Too often, words are used carelessly. We've all experienced moments where words hurt us, broke trust, or created confusion. And if we're honest, we've probably been guilty of that too. The key is to recognize that words have power. They can inspire, connect, and drive change, or they can destroy, divide, and derail. When you speak, are you speaking to hear your own voice, or are you speaking to serve a purpose? That's the question we must ask ourselves. If our words don't align with our thoughts, our true intentions, people can sense it. That's when they stop trusting us. They hear what we say, but they feel the disconnect. And trust me, people don't follow individuals who are out of sync with themselves. This is where wisdom comes in. Wisdom isn't about being the smartest person in the room or having all the answers. It's about knowing when to listen, when to speak, and when to act. Wisdom bridges the gap between what we think, what we say, and what we do. It's about aligning those three elements so that we can lead with integrity and authenticity. Here's a practical way to think about this. Every time you're faced with a decision or a challenge, ask yourself 3 questions. First, what am I thinking? Be honest. What's running through your mind? Is it fear, excitement, doubt? Clarity begins with acknowledgement. Second, what am I about to say? Before you speak, pause. Is what you're about to say reflective of your thoughts and aligned with your values? Third, does this action reflect wisdom? Will your words and actions serve the greater good, or are they driven by impulse or ego? When we bring these 3 elements, thoughts, words, and wisdom, into alignment, something incredible happens. We become consistent. And consistency builds trust. People know what to expect from us because there's no contradiction between what we say and what we do. This alignment isn't just about how others perceive us, it's also about how we perceive ourselves. Misalignment creates internal conflict. You might think one thing but say another to please others. Or you might speak without reflecting on the consequences, leaving you feeling regretful or disconnected. When this happens repeatedly, you lose confidence in yourself. But when you align your thoughts, words, and wisdom, you start to feel a sense of peace. You trust yourself more. Decisions become clearer because you're no longer fighting internal battles. And the more you practice this, the more natural it becomes. Let's take this into the context of leadership, where alignment is critical. As leaders, whether in our families, teams, or communities, people look to us for guidance. They don't just listen to what we say, they watch what we do. They notice whether our actions match our words, and when they see consistency, they follow us not because they have to, but because they want to. Great leaders don't need to demand loyalty, they earn it. They align their thoughts, words, and wisdom so that their actions inspire trust. When they think about their team's well-being, they communicate that clearly. Their words reflect care, purpose, and direction. And their decisions, guided by wisdom, show that they're not just thinking about the short term, but the long-term impact. Now, this alignment isn't easy. It requires vulnerability. It means admitting when your thoughts are clouded by bias or fear. It means apologizing when your words miss the mark. And it means having the courage to act in ways that reflect your values, even when it's uncomfortable. But here's the thing, alignment is a journey, not a destination. There will be times when we fall out of sync. That's human. The key is to recognize it quickly and course correct. Take a moment to reflect, is what I'm thinking constructive? Are my words helping or hindering? Is my wisdom leading me to the best possible outcome? This alignment is also deeply connected to purpose. When our thoughts, words, and wisdom are aligned, we operate from a place of clarity and direction. We know why we're doing what we're doing, and when we're clear on our purpose, we bring others along with us. Let's not underestimate the power of this alignment in relationships. Whether it's a partnership, a friendship, or a professional connection, misalignment creates distance. Think about the last time someone said something that didn't match their actions. How did it make you feel? Likely it led to mistrust or frustration. Alignment eliminates that. It creates transparency, and transparency strengthens relationships. This isn't just about avoiding conflict, it's about building something stronger. When you align your thoughts, words, and wisdom, you're not just presenting a version of yourself, you're presenting your true self. That's what people connect with. So how do we get there? It starts with self-awareness. Pay attention to your inner dialogue. Are your thoughts aligned with the person you want to be? Then, focus on intentional communication. Are your words reflective of your thoughts, and do they serve a purpose? Finally, seek wisdom in your actions. Ask yourself, am I acting in a way that aligns with my principles and values? Alignment isn't just about big moments, it's about the small, everyday choices. It's in the way we treat someone who can't offer us anything in return. It's in the way we handle criticism or setbacks. It's in the way we prioritize time for what truly matters. The beauty of alignment is that it creates harmony, not just within ourselves, but in the spaces we inhabit. It's the foundation of trust, the fuel for inspiration, and the key to lasting impact. When thoughts, words, and wisdom come together, they create a ripple effect. And that ripple is what drives real, meaningful change.